Jackie.
And we're live.
We are live. Welcome, everybody, to our daily success mastermind. John Lavenia here with you. It is Friday, August 21st, 2020.
Yay!
There's Evier. There's, let's see who else we got here. We've got a bunch of characters, including the birthday girl, Esther. Yahtzee, welcome. And
Happy birthday, Esther.
Yay.
Birthday.
There she is, Esther. Yep,
Happy
Jackie,
birthday.
friend. Bros, good to see Mark, Tom, Koila, good to see you, Koila, Bill, Ego's here, David. David, I can't wait to hear what you say today, David. It's going to be awesome. Of course, Carlene's here. Always good to see Carlene, Kathy, Ivier, Susie, Daisy, Evelyn, and Javier. Javier, you're a regular fixture here as well now. I am so glad you're here. Caroline and Allie, I can't see you, but I know you're there. Jane and Neil, Nancy, Joe, of course, Star and Mary, and many others joining us who I can't fit on the screen right now. But hey, guys, it's Fun Friday. So it's time for, what do we always start with? Little animal exhibits. In fact, let me go ahead. Glenn, did you want to kick this off? Because I know you've got somebody in your hands right there.
Well, I did. That was Bubble, and he was having none of it.
Okay. Bubble the cat.
Bubble the cat. He's a rescue guide. We brought him over from the Middle East 6 years ago.
That sounds like a story. Where in the Middle East?
I lived in Qatar for 10 years. Paula, being oil and gas, has lived all over the world. She was living in Oman at the time we were introduced. She moved over to Doha, and she got Bubble and his half-sister Squeak.
Wow.
See what I did there?
Yeah.
From a rescue shelter in the middle of the desert. Brought the two of them back, and about 3 weeks after we arrived, Squeak went walkabout, never came back. I'm sure she found a house with better food. And so we remain with Bubble has chosen to spend some time here while he finalizes his plan to murder us both in our sleep.
Fantastic. Oh, and I see Caroline. Caroline's got some
It's
sort of
giant black cat. I was just trying to get a better light so you can see him because he's very gorgeous.
Oh.
He's more shy than he's huge. That's Django. Ow, that scratched me in the eye.
Wow,
He's not quite as amenable to being picked up.
Oh yeah, something with these cats, they're not digging it. I'll tell you what, I got something on my lap right now, and he digs it plenty. This is Butch, and Butch he's a rescue dog. Yeah, there he is, and his back legs don't work so well, so he gets to wear a diaper.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, and he drags his ass around. We walk him around on the grass and everything, and he's getting slowly better. But some sort of unknown injury, I don't know what. He just stopped working his back legs and was in pain. Anyway, he's doing good now. He runs around. He loves meat, and he loves being held. So guess what? You're being injected now.
And I have to say that I am not typically a dog lover, but I fell in love with Butch when I was out there. So.
All right. Anybody else? Jokes. Fun Friday jokes. Linda.
We have Rexy here.
Oh.
He's an old guy.
Wow.
He's a Pomchi. So he's a Chihuahua Pomeranian mix.
Wow. Beautiful. Beautiful. And of course the seasoned, salty gray, snout is really something to look at there. Wow.
He's my reverse raccoon.
Yeah, good stuff. Anybody else? Jokes, dogs, cats? Dave, I'm looking at you.
Yeah, not so much a joke, more a thought for the day.
Okay.
If at first you don't succeed, skydiving is not for you.
There it is.
That's
nice. I've got a friend who's dived over 5,000 jumps, or maybe it's 10,000 at this point, but he's like a full-blown skydiver. I've gone once, and it was one of those tandem jumps. Dave, you know what that is, whether you're strapped to the professional, right? I definitely was not the professional. And once. That's how many times I've done that. Interesting. I may do it again, but it's like a serious hobby. Like these guys get really into it, and they do formations and snowboarding and everything else. Anybody else today before we get into a little topic discussion here?
Yeah.
Glenn, go ahead.
It's a classic. Knock, 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 knock.
Who's there?
Nobody.
Nobody who? Right, there it is. Thank you, Glenn. There's
Thanks. I'll be here all week.
All right, Toba. Where's Toba?
Okay, I'm here.
Hey.
Let me give this a try.
Okay, let's do it.
You see a boat filled with people, yet there isn't a single person on it. How is that possible?
It's a riddle. He riddles us, ladies and gentlemen. You see a boat filled with people, but there isn't a single person on it. I don't know.
They are all married.
Oh, they're all married. There it is. Look at that. That was a good little brain twister on there.
Nice. Nice.
Demonstrating the complication of the English language. I was telling my daughter, English, is like one of the most complicated languages in the world. Of course, we don't perceive that because we grew up in it, right? But you ever see like the full Oxford Dictionary, like the series of them, like it takes up a bookshelf? That's the English language. And guess what? It grows every day. So thank you, Toba. Thank you for your contribution. Anybody else before we get into a little talk here today? All right. Oh, and great news. We have a special guest coming out with us tonight. And let me go ahead and share my screen so I can show you guys what is going on. By the way, before I get into that, oh my goodness, what a week we've had. And for those of you tuning in on YouTube and Facebook, grab yourself a membership to this because it has just been off the hook. This is our first week of, I would say, a so-called full schedule, but it's getting fuller as we speak. There's so many different shows and stuff that are going on the calendar. Last night, in fact, I was getting feedback while this was happening. We had our first ever brand builder session with my secret weapon. You guys got to meet Shannon Lavenia, and my phone and every communication channel was blowing up. Words like devastating, weapon of mass destruction. And I'm looking at you, Adrian, and just the insights that, and again, this isn't a comparative type of thing, but when I'll speak for myself. When I get to hear from someone who's in the trenches and who has gotten results, in other words, by their fruits, you'll know them, right? So I know for myself that there is definitely fruit on that tree when it comes to production in the realm of, marketing and branding. And so the feedback that we've gotten from that has been, wow, like this cleared up a lot of stuff that we have been kind of dancing around in other, with other sources or methods or trying to learn stuff on YouTube or whatever. So well done, Shannon. I know she's handling some other stuff right now. She's not on with us live, but well done. Now, moving forward, and of course, I can't end without saying once again, Mark, you crushed it yesterday, taking the characteristics of leadership and applying them into examples. And I was one of them, and I'm grateful for that, right? I'm humbled by that. But also, what can we do? What can we assimilate? And the word integrity came up a lot, right? Which is adherence to moral and ethical principles and the condition of being whole, undivided, and undiminished. Of course, I wrote a whole book on just that one word because it's so loaded. And I think we got a lot of mileage out of that as well. So today, let me see what we got going on here today. We have two things that people here have not yet experienced, and we're going to experience them today. So if you're a full member here with us in the Success Mastermind, of course, we're on general session right now. We got a hospitality suite, which is really always open, although we did have a little technical glitch with it yesterday, but that's always open whenever we're not in a normal session. At 6 p.m. Eastern U.S. time is what's called Be Heard. Be Heard, what is that? So if you're ever wondering what these shows are, they're all right here on the menu. Be Heard, open forum, share your questions and ideas as a valued member of this group. So this is especially geared towards our newer members or people who are not, they don't have as much of a tendency to just throw themselves out on the floor and say, here's what I think, right? So pretty much that's going to be me sitting and listening, and then we can discuss whatever you want to talk about. So this is kind of a week in prep sort of thing, because this can shape where we go next week, this whole Be Heard thing. And then I've got a special guest coming out with us today, someone who I know and love, and a business partner of mine, a guy we've made millions of dollars together. I'm not going to say his name because I'm going to spring him upon you, but multi-million-dollar marketer, talking about long-range follow-up. In other words, building and maintaining relationships and how that relates to making a lot of money. Because does it pay to follow up? You know, there's that old saying, the fortune's in the follow-up. Is that real? Bet your ass it's real. Okay, like millions of dollars real. So we're going to have that conversation tonight at 7 p.m. Eastern U.S. time, and that's going to be, excuse me, and that's going to be a lot of fun. So unless, of course, it's not, then it won't be fun. But no, it's going to be a lot of fun. John, how can you predict the future? I'll tell you what. That's what we're going to talk about a little bit here today in our group session. I got an idea that came up for me multiple times yesterday, and again, this is via the feedback that we've gotten right out of the gate from many of you. Some of you are not new members, so to speak. Like Esther, the birthday girl, I've known Esther we go way back, right? I mean, it's been months that I've known Esther, right? Sometimes I'll throw that in as a joke when somebody's new, but yet I've known them for a while. Hey, we go back hours and hours. We go way back. But even with people who are more, like staples inside the Mastermind group here, I get feedback because we just launched this whole platform, and there's an actual, a bunch of communication that's going out as if you were a brand new member of all this. And so the feedback that I'm getting, even from people who I already know what's going on in your life, but I'm getting more clarity on that. Star, I got your first book yesterday. Thank you. So it was like a chapter, and there's so much insights there. Okay, but I also get feedback, like grapevine kind of stuff, that is not necessarily things that people openly publish, but is also very revealing in terms of their psychological and emotional state and how that affects their future. And they may not be thinking about how that affects their future, but I'm always thinking about, all right, how can we use this? How can we take this datum, right? This idea, this thought, and how can we now work with that, assuming that it's, it's important data to work with? How can we put that into use in our life? How can we use that, in fact, to predict the future? And as the old saying goes, the best way to predict the future is to create it. So back to me, what am I responsible for? I'm responsible for creating something in my own life. We can all own this, or we could not own it. So the question of responsibility comes up again. Are we willing to accept? It was always ours. We're not taking responsibility. You've already got it, but accept it. Are we willing to accept it in terms of creating and thereby predicting our future? Now, the book that we're reading in our book club on Monday nights is As a Man Thinketh, James Allen. We're on chapter 2 and beyond. We'll probably just wipe out the rest of the book this week because it's so short. But chapter 2 is like the big nuke that goes off. So those of you who haven't read chapter 2 yet, get ready for the nuke. But what he says in there is that man cannot choose his circumstances, but he can choose his thoughts. And so indirectly, but surely shape his circumstances. That's what we're talking about when we're talking about accepting responsibility to create and thereby predict our futures. We're going to shape our circumstances indirectly. Okay. I don't have the magic elixir, the crystal ball, the talisman, whatever. But I do have what? I have control of my thoughts. And so if we look at the mental faculty of will, right? We've got this thing called the will. What is that about? Well, that's about choosing the right thoughts. A lot of times people debauch that. They think, oh, I'm going to force myself to stop procrastinating or something. Like that's willpower. And of course, people are calling me exactly at the moment that we're live. Let me make sure I'm on do not disturb mode. Okay, good. I am. Somehow they got through. They must be ringing me multiple times. They should be in session with us. But the mental faculty known as the will, primary purpose of, is to choose the right thoughts consistently enough that we actually get emotionally involved in the state that is produced by pleasing thoughts, things of good report, to quote, Paul from the Bible, right? Think on these things, pray without ceasing, think consistently on these things of good report, that which is just, that which is right. Okay. What's the other side of that? Hear no evil, speak no evil. I mean, look, that's one of the reasons why we keep compartmentalized in this conversation here. Things like, all right, so politics, we can have that conversation if you dare on social media or whatever. Okay. But here, this is about philosophy. This is about personal development principles. Okay. Same with specific religion kind of stuff. A lot of times people go sideways on that, right? Maybe not as sideways as politics these days, but still, I'm not here to assert my rightness upon you based on some specific denomination or doctrine. right? The idea with this whole group is that we can take principles, right, which exist like the truth prior to my thoughts about it, right? Well, we could take those, we can examine those, and we could say, all right, does that shake out in my own life? If it does, use it. If not, take what you like and leave the rest, man. I mean, I don't know, right? It's a buffet, right? If it's workable, work it. If it's not, well, move on. Okay. So, and that's the beauty of a mastermind group is that we're seeing different perspectives on principles, which are above personalities. Personalities down here, principles up here. When I got my start in personal development and, being a seeker of life skills and, productive living or whatever, or just not destroying myself with drugs, alcohol, all the stuff I grew up around and in running the streets in New Jersey, right? Some of you know my initial exposure to this sort of a forum or conversation was through 12-step fellowships, right? Which is still running today and has helped a lot of people because they're a part of a conversation based on principles, based on a doctrine, not based on my, look at me, I'm the guru. No, there's no friggin' gurus here. No. Here's the teaching. Let's talk about that now. Let's make that real for us or not, right? But what does that do? That brings people together because now we're united by principles, not personality. So one of the traditions of that sort of an organization is to always place principles before personalities. Always, always, always. Are people perfect? No, but that's what's written. That's the doctrine, so to speak. And it's workable. It's good. So back to predicting the future. Here's what came up for me today. I know that there's a variety of people going through a variety of different things in their lives, whether that's abundance, like a lot of people I work with in the online business space, their stats are through the roof. And it's a time of great harvest. Now, how can I say that in the face of COVID and yes, and politics and rioting in the street and everything else? Because that's real in a portion of this community with individuals who are engaging in certain, in this case, business practices. But all of that is based on the applied philosophy that's workable to begin with. Okay, we also have other people who are experiencing lean times, and that is real for them. I've experienced lean times. A lot of people know. In fact, I had this conversation with somebody just the other day. They said, yeah, well, John, this whole idea of abundance and success. And I mean, you've already made millions. You've never experienced the hardship. I was like, whoa. Let me enlighten you. Here's the rest of the story, right? Because the saying is the first million's the hardest. Here's what I offer you. Bullshit. Okay. The hardest is picking yourself up after having lost the millions, which I have. If you want to talk about Chapter 7 bankruptcies, losing everything, $2 million down the drain, multiple houses, cars, done. Start over. Yeah, I went through that. Okay. So, and I don't want to wear that as a badge, like, look at me, such strength of character, but what comes of that? What comes of that? And Adrian and I had this conversation, and this is some of the content that we can be talking about moving forward, is what does it take in terms of strength of character to pick yourself up after that? Yeah, the first million's not easy. I'm not here to invalidate that, you just walk your ass in and have success because you showed up on a whim. No, success isn't easy. Otherwise it'd be mediocrity. Everybody would have it. Okay. But make some decisions, which mostly have to do with working with the wrong people, by the way. I've discovered that more important than what you do is who you do it with. Multi-million-dollar lesson. We'll pass the collection basket in a minute. Okay. But Glenn like that. But the idea of picking yourself up again, that's tough. So strength of character is the main product. If you look in our members website, what is the purpose of all this? Really, it comes down to being able to reestablish cause and thereby be more effective. Just look at the words, cause, effect, right? If you want to be more effective, well, then you need to be cause. You need to assign cause to yourself more consistently, choosing the right thoughts, reason, and also will, right? Choosing the right thoughts to the point where you experience causation in your life. This is, if there's nothing else that we are able to create or rehabilitate in this forum, it's that, to whatever degree you engage in it. So here's the prophecy. Here it comes. The more I engage and use the will, which is like a muscle. You use it or lose it. Okay. That or you're just grow weeds. It's easy to grow weeds. It takes no effort at all. You don't need will to do that. Okay. But the more I actually use the will to choose the right thoughts consistently enough to think on those things of good report, to pray without ceasing, the more I do that, the more higher elevated emotional state I'm in, the better decisions I make, the more I attract pleasing circumstances into my life. Is it magic? No. No. Is it perfect? No. No. Do I get unexpected things that befall me? Of course. I don't know the path until I've walked the path. But the point is, and the thing that I wanted to offer everyone here today and hear from you is, how can you more consistently be a part of the solution in your own life and thereby in the lives of others than you are part of the problem, which you don't have any, there's no effort to make in that. You can do that just by showing up and being part of the problem. You can help, you can grow weeds, and guess what? Those weeds have the little pollen that flies off, and it's in the neighbor's farm now. And now the neighbor's got to pull your freaking weeds out of their garden, right? What was it Jamie Young said earlier this week, right? Here's my side of the street, and my side of the street shall be impeccable. I take care of my side. That's your side of the street. Okay, this is my side of the street. We're talking about personal responsibility. In fact, I think this is our seismic topic from last Thursday. We were talking about civics, right? So, but it starts with me, right? A high integrity society must contain high integrity individuals. So what part of this can I be responsible for right now? How can I be part of the solution in my own life by what I think, what I feel, and thereby what I demonstrate, and thereby be part of the solution in other people's lives? Because the alternative is, here I am, some guy who's just bitching and griping about life and how much of a victim I am, wondering why the world doesn't recognize my great talents, abilities, and why it's so hard. It's easy to have a pity party on this stuff. And look, I've been there. I get it. I've seen both sides. I've experienced direct experiential knowledge of both sides of it. And my goodness, it's a ton of work to pull yourself up out of the mud. It's a ton of work. My tip is, don't do it alone. Don't do it alone. Okay. So I know there's been some conversation around our community, and I guess, guys, thank you for your feedback. I've gotten a ton of it, and I am reading it all. I may not have time to type back to you direct responses to each thing, although I'm getting to everything. It's been an insanely busy week, but I've gotten feedback saying, John, this whole forum is $500 a month, $1,000 a month. I had one of our members here say I was paying $600 a month to some clown. I didn't get half as much as I got out of what we're getting here for free. I'm like, thank you. My ego likes to hear that, but I want nothing more than for you to make a spectacle of yourself. Because does that affect the rest of society? You're damn right it does. Do we need more victims? I don't think so. We got lots of those in society, right? Do we need leaders? We're starving for leaders. And Mark, yesterday, crushed it. Oh my goodness. With exhibits and everything, slideshows. My good, I wasn't expecting that. This has taken on a life of its own, and I'm humbled and I'm grateful for each of you who are here. This is just the beginning, my friends. Now we got kids coming on Wednesday nights. We got branding. We've got, anyway, I'm just grateful for you allowing me to be in this conversation, because I can't do it alone either. Do I have dark times? You damn right I do. I can't do this alone. Thank goodness I don't have to. Those are my thoughts that are coming up for me today. And it's all been inspired by all of you. Thank you to my family here. Thank you, guys. I'm going to stop talking. We've got a floor. It's open. Dave, I see you, brother. David, thank you. Bill, I love you, Bill. This is just the beginning, my friend. Linda, Toba. All right, who wants to talk? Come on out here. Star, you've got the floor.
I just wanted to say thank you, John. We're not alone. We are all here together. That's all I wanted to say, is just that means a lot. I don't want to always be the one talking. I would like some of the people, as Mark was saying yesterday on page 2, come out and speak. And apart from that, happy birthday, Esther. You look beautiful today.
Esther's glowing, as always, as you are, Star. What a glowing, brilliant group we've got here. So, and Star, thank you again for what you wrote yesterday. So you and I need to talk, assuming you got any time today. Assuming I have any time today. Let's go to Bill, then Elmer, and then Ivier. What's up, Bill?
I know it's Friday, and I know it's a happy weekend, but everything that you've just spoke about there, making choices, my own will, your own will, how it impacts upon our life. And I'm going to be pretty open here. Year and a half, slightly more ago, I sat with a Glock 17 in front of me and had 2 bottles of wine, and then decided it was a better idea to crash out and go to sleep than it was to do what I was thinking about doing. That's a will. That will made me change my life around. That was the very next day I went and asked for help, and received, eventually, after a bit of fight, some help. But what I will say, and this has resonated with me big time, is the fact that whilst they sent me off to see a psychologist who kept making me relive all the crap that I'd witnessed and been through, I have suddenly discovered that I don't need to look behind me and relive that. I get enough of that at night time when I'm shouting at people and wrestling with myself in bed. I'm not in a bad way, I'm talking about. But it's a case of, you cannot be a victim. Just because you're diagnosed with something doesn't mean to say you have to run around living it, living up to what these people have labeled you. So that's my bit for everybody on this Good Friday, is just to say, be the person that can make your change. Don't just listen to everybody else and what people label you with. You will get there.
Brilliant. Bill, we're so glad you're here with us. Like, really, really, really grateful for you in our lives.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Where's Elmer and Hung San? Where's Elmer? Where is he? Elmer. Hung San.
Hello.
Hey, never mind Elmer. I want to hear from Hung San. What's going on with you?
Hi, everyone. And thank you for today's topic. I really appreciate it. And so much of it really resonated with me. Bill, thank you for sharing what you just shared. And it's so true. Like, like we may go through really like tough times, and, and it's just like a lot of crap. But at the end of it, who we are is kind of like what we aim and strive to be as a person. And, every day we work and we try to get better and better every day. But who we are is what we strive and work towards. It's not what happened behind us. And, we have a chance every day to make it a new day and make things better for ourselves and for the people around us. So, and this group is so vital, at least personally, in terms of being able to just like really lift like all of us up and remind us every day that we can do this work every day and get better and better. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Hung San. And you're getting love in the chat. People love hearing you. We're so glad. We're not gonna be able to shut her up now. She's got the mic. Good times.
Don, I wanted to say one thing though, to jump in. I mean, we're definitely grateful for this group, and like to the one thing about, it is definitely an acknowledgement of it's our responsibility. But I think one of the biggest impediments is, how do we assume that responsibility if what we've been told or what we've been, inundated with has been tough, in terms of just like, it's easy to say, think, be, do, but if you haven't done it or you haven't experienced it, that's, I find, sort of like an impediment to, where do I go from here? How do I assume that responsibility if it's never been apparent?
Okay, no, that's brilliant, and it's called do the work, and it's not an assumption; it's an acceptance. So, so you mentioned part of a teaching, which is be, do, and have. So, in the observation of life, Johann Goethe said, one must be something in order to do something. Okay, that sounds simple enough. But if you want to have something, right, well, you got to do something to go get the thing, right? So it's be, do, and have in that order. Most of us, no, All of us are seduced by appearances, what I have or don't have, these circumstances. And then if we allow ourselves to assign cause to those circumstances, which, as Bill just reminded us, are the product of our past decisions, right? So these are the effects of our past, right? I have or I don't have. Okay. So that's dead. That's the past. But if we're assigning cause to that, then we're the effect. We lose. There's no evolution in that at all. So what we must do, back to my original point, what's the point of all this, is reassign cause to ourselves, reestablish, rehabilitate. Oh my goodness, I'm in control. I can have an effect. I can accept responsibility for some piece of this. Yes, I got a pile of crap here. Okay, what's one thing out of this entire confusion that I can accept responsibility for and put that one thing in order? That one, let's say one datum, one idea, and here it is, that you are able to do something, and you just demonstrated it, right? You picked up the pen, you wrote the letter, you placed the item into the, if you're doing Amazon, right? So here's the listing, or at least here's the communication that I just caused to occur. Look, I was effective. I just caused that communication to occur with the supplier. Okay, so you're proving to yourself on a gradient more and more how effective you actually are. In other words, how cause you really are. Okay, and I think that's the big trick for a lot of people is reestablishing the idea that you were in control to a degree all along, including to the degree that you've abandoned, relinquished, abdicated control, and therefore you get to act like a victim. This is the hardest work there is. Mm-hmm. So I completely agree, Elmer. It's easy to say, but my goodness, how do we do it? You got to do the work. And what is the work? The work is the consistent input of principle-based. I'm sorry, I'm not trying to talk over you, Elmer.
Oh yeah, I said day by day, step by step.
Right, constant spaced repetition. Think on these things of good report, constant reminders. Why do I sit and get quiet every day and remind myself who I am? Where am I going? Right? Why do we affirm things? Every day in every way, I'm getting better and better. Well, now let me go find evidence of that. Let's go do some push-ups right now. I just got better. Look at that. That's true. That's true. Okay. So it's work. Oh my goodness, it's work. And what's one of the easiest things in the world to do? Avoid work. Oh, I love you guys. Thank you. Thank you, Elmer. So glad you're here. Now, where is, I'm going to purposely screw this up. Where's Ivy? Where's Ivy today? And then we're going to go to Kathy and Tommy. IVA. I called you Ivy for like a month.
Oh, John. Oh, you're just too wonderful for words. Thank you so much. Bill, I need to say this. I'm so glad you did not take that decision. You changed your mind last minute, fell asleep, crashed, whatever it was, because I can't imagine that we would have been here and not met you. It won't seem right. Something would have been missing. There's only one you. You are so unique. I mean, as far as I know, there's no clone of you. The mold was broken when you came forth. Nobody else has your set of fingerprints. You are uber special. I mean, you're created to do something that nobody else can do as well as you can. So please rise, shine, be the fullest, the biggest, the bestest version of you can possibly be. We want to see you. We want to see you make a spectacle of yourself. You are just awesome in so many ways. I mean, where do we start? So I'm so glad. I'm so glad you're here with us. It's amazing. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you for having taken that decision. Hearing you speak raised quite a few things for me, because not only have I taken, I have taken and not succeeded, not once, not twice, and then failed also a number of times, but I've also had those kind of actions taken against me. So I was married to a man who basically I was his punch bag, and, pointed a gun at me, basically saying, if I can't have you, nobody else will, kind of thing. And it took me literally planning my escape strategy, and leaving, literally running away from our married home in the middle of the night with nothing. I just fled. I just thought, you know what? I need to get out of here. But it took months to plan that. He didn't see it coming, but I knew I had to get out of there. Because if I didn't, it would have been just one dead body and nobody would have investigated, and that would have been the end of that. So I totally feel where you're coming from. And just know that is a lie from the pits of hell, that you got nothing to give, that you've come to the end of you. No, 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 no. No, you are worth so much more than that. So thank you so much for being here with us. I just think of this group, and talking about not doing life alone, it is so important, so for the single parents out there, for the single people out there, for the people who don't think they have best friends, this is what this family is for. This is what this tribe, I think, is meant to fill, at least part of that void. So you know that no matter how hard times get, you're not alone. You can come on here every day. The suite is open, pretty much when we're not having something, particular. There's so many WhatsApp groups, Facebook groups where you will run into one of us somewhere, So let's just hang on to this lifeline. And it's amazing that all of this started in a period with COVID-19. I don't think that was coincidental. I think this is Mother Nature, God, whoever else you want to call, smiling down on us and saying, there's a group of people down there that I need to create something phenomenal for, so that their heads are constantly above water. And that's what this is. And I'm just so grateful for everybody here. And I can't wait to see how much bigger this family gets. It can only go bigger, better, higher, you name it. So I'm excited. Thank you so much, John. You started something, and I don't think we know where this is going, but this is amazing. Well, thank you.
Thank you, Evie, and thank you, everyone. And I haven't done any promo, nothing at this point. It's just that people who are attracted to this are showing up. But more tech is going in place, and we'll be able to scale this up with people who are a good blend for the group. All right, so there is, for anyone who's watching this thinking, I'd like to join this group. Yeah, we do have a 2-week trial period. It's not just us on trial, it's you on trial, just so you know. Okay, so it's going to be a good fit for the group. Let's go to Kathy, then Tom, then Koila. Hey, Kathy.
Good morning, afternoon, everyone. This is just so incredible. John, I just have to acknowledge it's so unbelievable to me how people who, they don't smell the smoke on you from the fire you've been through, and they want to deny that you could ever have been you were born with a silver spoon in your mouth. And it's so incredible to me that people do that. It's like, with the biblical reference of Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, it's like walking up to them and saying, well, you don't smell like smoke. You couldn't have been in a fiery furnace, right? And they don't know. They have no idea what you've gone through. But so much of what you were saying about reestablishing the cause to produce the desired effect. And the personality is down here and the principles are up here. And I feel like when we focus on, oh, they have that, I want that, or this is, that illusion, we fall into that, oh, I should have, we get caught in a lower cycle of, cycling around our personality in the past and the cause and all of that is on a lower level, and it just keeps us caught in that, that whirlpool until we come up to the principles that we actually value, that we actually understand, and that we actually believe. And that brings us up to start thinking and reasoning on that higher level, the hard work of thinking. And then in initializing our will to think those right thoughts after we've reasoned through them, and then the action of doing them. That is the hard work. That is, and yet it is, and yet we are all just like you you have superpowers to do that in very specific ways of seeing when you bring people together. Oh, this could go here, and this is the strength is here, but we need it there, or, you know, you have that ability because that's the way you were put together. If we can get ourselves over to that side, we can actually use those superpowers to perpetuate the process, as opposed to being stuck in the lower thinking of the things that were done to us and our personality and you know, the past. So I think that's all I have to say. I'm just thanking you for all of everybody's input. You guys are just so awesome. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you, Kathy. Always good to see you. My friend Kathy, let's go to Tom, then Koila, then Caroline. Hey, Tom.
Okay, so this is Adrian's fault, but I'll basically, he shamed me into talking today, but I'm just kidding. So the interesting part to this is listening to Bill and listening to John is I get caught up in basically what I call always trying to do or keep moving without having to worrying about choices for myself. And the reason I say that is that back in 1976, I started a dairy farm with the family and started the dairy farm and grew it from 65 to over 200 cows. And I'll make this story short, but it'll have it resonate in regards to what it is or causes. So after 20 years of doing the farm and having that many, we had a severe fire and it took out all of the cows but 40. All of them were burned. So to your point, Bill, is when you're all of a sudden confronted with a complete change in life, the first thing that I did was after the fire, I still but I basically drank a good amount of Johnny Walker Red. And, you know, there was that point of which waking up in the middle of the night going, okay, now what do I do? Bill, to your point, there's a lot of dark thoughts that come out. So I don't have the nature to really overthink that too much. So within a week period of time, skipping through all the insurance that we had to go through, I came up with a brilliant idea to basically raise chickens. So I raised meat chickens, and I raised meat chickens for probably 8 years, got very good at taking them down to New York City, talking to chefs, getting organized. I was taking them to 4-star restaurants. I was selling them to the CIA. Some people that don't know, that's the Culinary Institute of America, and I was their #1 person. So I was basically selling chickens there. And I did that for 8 years. And to make this part humorous is that because I was so caught up in the change, I didn't pay attention to what was occurring around me. And Stuart alerted to this a long time ago, which is I didn't pay attention to anybody else that was so-called competitive. I just paid attention to working forward, moving forward, selling the chickens, because I was in the midst of what they call growing organic chickens, free-range chickens. So I was kind of a little bit of a novelty, but although I couldn't really figure out why it was a novelty, because they were just really good tasting chickens. So into the 7th year, all of a sudden, which I had nicknamed it, is that there is, I nicknamed them the mafia chicken owners, which is, and not to pick on anybody who lives in Pennsylvania, but essentially there's a lot of chicken growers in Pennsylvania. New York State, in its infinite wisdom, decided that they needed to regulate how you process chickens. Not that I'm saying that we didn't use USDA and everything else, but they made it more difficult. Speeding through that whole thing was the people in Pennsylvania didn't like me invading in their market. I didn't know anything about it whatsoever. And so I was all of a sudden losing market share. I had no idea why. And so I kept going through loss, doing this. Chickens, you can't, you know, it's not like a product that you can sell on Amazon. Well, I mean, not to a certain extent anyway. So the issue was that someone in New York City finally said, who was a very friend of mine that was a chef, said, Tom, don't you understand? Well, no, I don't. You have eaten into their market to such an extent. They basically are telling some of the processing plants that to not allow you to get your chickens processed. So I had no idea. And, you know, it comes into a tricky thing, whereas you put on blinders because you're just going to move forward, get the job done. be damned to anybody else and you just keep doing it. Long story short, essentially, I basically looked at the whole thing. It was turning into a mess. I pulled the plug on the chicken farm, sold all the chickens, sold all the equipment, and I said, to hell with it. I've always been a person that doesn't, the moss doesn't grow too much underneath the feet. So I kept going. I had a person that turned to me and after I heard about the chicken business said, well, what are you gonna do now? I said, I had no idea. I was not worried about it. I wasn't scared. I was concerned. And he looks at me and goes, well, listen, why don't you come along and help me with my marketing business? And I said, yeah, well, I don't know what you're doing. He says, well, I'm selling advertising. And I said, well, I don't know anything about advertising. He says, well, if you can sell chickens to people in New York City, you can sell advertising. So 1999, I launched my own business. I do marketing, and now I basically represent two very large associations and are coming out of DC. All of that I want to bring to light is that we have a tendency, which all of us have expressed here a number of times, is that we get caught up in the feel of we just keep going. We put the blinders on, we have to get it done, and we actually forget how to feel outside of that because we just get caught up in the mission. And it took me a long time, and there were some more dark periods of time. And when I got done with it, I did realize one thing was that, as Adrian pointed out, I have a very dry, warped sense of humor. I'm happy for that. I don't want to grow up any more than Esther has already, and I don't intend to. So the problem I have is that when I hear, I don't know what you want to call it, defense mechanism or whatever you want to call it, is that when I basically hear all of these items that people have more difficulties than I did and certainly have gotten through all of them, it's just that I look at it as like, I'll come up with a joke or a sense of humor towards it because it's just, we've all been through so much. I just really just want to laugh the remaining days, whatever that is, because that's what makes me happy is just laughter. And I won't stop that. And if someone gets too serious with me, it's like I'll crack a joke or I'll just look at them and go, wow, you really do take yourself very serious, but you really haven't looked at yourself in the mirror too many times. So with all that said, I'm happy. Adrian, it's all your fault that I did this, but I'm just saying that, it's, you're all great. I enjoy it. But no, I still don't get a lot of enjoyment about talking about myself. It's just not something that I don't really enjoy doing because really all of you have done far better, greater things than I have. But I do appreciate listening to me and taking the time. I'm done.
Thank you, Tom. I know so much more about you now.
Yeah,
This
okay.
is great.
Don't
And you know what?
don't put that in the paper anywhere.
No, I just got out of this was don't marry the vehicle, right?
Yes.
So one door closes, another opens. What if I always got my way based on what I think should happen? Oh man,
Yeah.
Where's the evolution in that? So thank you, Tom. You're brilliant, man. Where's Koila, then Caroline, then Carlene? My goodness, the triple C attack, starting with Koila.
Hi there. And yeah, Tom, I think we're all here, sitting here thinking for everybody else's story that we have nothing to compare. I know what I do. I listen to what other people have been through and I think, wow, that's so much. And we all feel that, and yet we all have a story that other people think is amazing and difficult. So I think you need to take that. We all need to take that on board. We have our own story. Everybody has their own story, and it's valid for all of us. And we learn from each other through sharing those stories, I think. And what I actually wanted to say was that we're all here now in the present, and our present here, where we are now, is born from our past. But our future is born from our present, which is what John is saying. So what we do now in our present time now will build our future, which is why we need to be purposeful and take action, because everything that we do now builds a better future for ourselves, is how I look at it. And also it's much easier to be happy concentrating on what you're doing in the present than worrying about the future. As long as you take care of the present, the future will take care of itself, kind of. And the other thing is, after this meeting yesterday, I had to go to another meeting, and the subject of imagination came up there, which I thought was amazing coincidence. It was about a subject that's not related to business, but one of the things that came up was how our culture and society actually kind of crushes our imagination, our schooling, and our everything that we go through, our politics and everything else in our growing up. It kind of channels our imagination, so we feel that we can't get out of it, and so that's what affects quite a lot of people, that they just don't think they can do the things they actually can do because their imagination has been squashed. And I think we're going through the like a birthing type thing, almost, in refinding our ability in our imagination to go and do the things we want to do, and not listen to the people who say we can't, just to listen to ourselves. And I think when John asked what difference can we make, I think we can choose to respond to people rather than just react. So we can choose to think about where other people are coming from and respond to that rather than react from how those people make us feel necessarily, which I suppose is a bit related to what I was talking about with Peter the other day, and what he did to me and how it made me feel, but how I changed how I reacted, and or how I responded, I should say, and it made a big difference. So that's really all I wanted to say. And finally,
Oh my
John
goodness.
might recognize that.
That's what you think is what you get, by George Lavenia, my uncle, who lives on the Upper East Side of New York City. Yeah, and started the Earth Foundation some years back.
And I'm not very far into it, but I'm enjoying what I've done so far.
Show everybody the picture. Show everybody my Uncle George. It makes some
a
noise.
Handsome fella he was too. Or still is, I presume.
Yeah, that's it. He hasn't changed a bit in like 50 years. So there you go. That's one place. In fact, I quote George in Integrity is Everything in my first book, because he had a bit of an impact on me. I didn't grow up around the guy, but he definitely had a way of throwing a spear exactly at the target, exactly, and pretty confrontational, which is so beautiful. It's like, yeah, you just spit it out, man. What is it? Right. And so that was George in my life. So good stuff. He's still up there. He's doing his New York thing. He goes down to Central Park every now and then and plays his flute or whatever. I guess not with COVID. Who knows? But Koila, thank you for your insights. Wow. I haven't seen somebody hold that book up in a long time. Let's go to Caroline, and then Carlene, and then I think we're wrapping up. Hey, Caroline, what's your story?
There we go. Okay. Hi, everyone, and thank you to all the other sharers. So, unlike many people on here, I get really nervous sharing my views on things. Yeah, I can tell personal stories, but if it's something a bit more, should we say, philosophical, I get tongue-tied, or I just think that what I think and say is like, everyone knows that. So I'm starting with that, just let's get that out of the way. So I'm going to try and talk slower, because I'm aware that when I often speak, I just go very quickly, and then I'm going to go, that's it. And then later I'm like, but it wasn't actually it. There was this whole other thing that I wanted to add to it. So I'm going to try and say everything I want to say, which is not going to be a long speech, but it may be a little bit longer than normal. So John, when you were talking about referring to victimhood before, I think like many of us, when I was younger, I blamed my parents for lots of things, and I blamed the world for lots of things. And to really look at that whole victimhood in our society has been one of my pet passions for many years, not deeply, but I've been aware about trying to always be responsible for my life and not pointing the finger of blame. But I was really blown away by one book I read a few years ago, which you may know, called Radical Forgiveness, by a guy called Colin Tipping. And it comes from the premise, I won't try and explain the whole book, but it comes from the premise that whatever's happened in your life, there's nothing to forgive. That if you approach life from a place of such deep acceptance that whatever happens to us, we've already said yes to on some level. And this is just making it very brief. Then you can really begin to heal. And I would just say, and there's a process that you can do for any situation in your life that you feel that you need to forgive someone about. There's a very simple worksheet process that you can do, and it's fantastic, really fantastic. It shifted. I had a couple of awkward situations with some acquaintances at the time. I did the process, and the next time I met that person, I had no shitty feelings. So that's just a good thing. And yeah, so when people say we're responsible for our lives, it's really hard when bad things have happened, because then people are like, well, are you saying that I asked for this terrible thing to happen to me? And it's like, of course not, But if we can just not take responsibility for the acts and the things that happened to us, but we do take 100% responsibility how we choose to respond to it and how we choose to move forward. That's where we get the power. It's not saying that we deserve that terrible thing, but we certainly can empower ourselves by choosing to take responsibility. And I think that was all I wanted to share. So,
thank you, Caroline. Great insights as always. And always good to see you. You're glowing as always. We're going to wrap up today with one of our favorite people right here. Carlene, what is going on, my friend?
Hi, John. Hi, everyone. I'm going to keep it really brief. I just wanted to share something. So this week, I've been trying to catch up with all the presentations. I missed Monday, was able to get on Tuesday. And the day when Glenn was doing his session, I'm sat here in this meeting, and there's the ring on the doorbell. So I'm like, who's ringing? Because I have no delivery. So I go to answer the door, and there's like 10 police officers at my door. And I'm thinking, what is going on? Oh my God, what's happening? And they said to me, apparently there's been a domestic report of mine from my neighbor. So they were just going around asking questions, trying to find out if I had heard a woman screaming, if I had anything that was taking place. Basically, I'm sat in a meeting and all this was kicking off and I had no idea. So the police were trying to get a bit of what was happening. I'm like, I don't know, I'm on the Zoom meeting. And this took a chunk of my time away. I missed a big portion of what Glenn was saying. But all this, what I'm saying is, there is so much things happening in the world right now. Like, I come to this meeting and it's like a safe space. And someone mentioned that one time, this is a safe space for us. But out around us, things are still happening. Crime is still taking place. Domestic incidents, people are going through so much. And to stay on top of everything is really, it's gonna take a lot more for people. And I really wish people can like maybe get hold of a group like this, because without this support, I don't know what's going to happen to a lot of people like moving forward. And I really appreciate all the testimonies people have been sharing. And I just want everyone to understand that, trust me, you need a group like this, because I thought life was like crazy before. We haven't seen nothing yet. I've been in this area for a long time. I've never seen the level of crime that has started in the space of 2 months. I've never seen anything like it. This is the first time I've seen so many police in my life, number one, in front of my door. I've seen them before, but in front of my door. And for the things that are happening to people, and I'm like, I was so shocked. I didn't even know that this man was beating his wife, and I see them all the time. They say hi to me, and he's kicking the shit out of her apparently. And that this is something we found out recently, well, this week. So I'm thinking, what's happening? Like, what's going on with people? So just like, I don't want to take up too much of the time, because it traumatized me, because I feel so bad, because I felt like if
It's just the fact that they're right there and next to you and you didn't realize. And I know that feeling, Colleen. And yeah, let it out. It's fine. It's awful to think. It's awful to think that it was going on through the wall.
I didn't know anything.
And to support that poor woman.
I'm so sorry.
Carlene, thank you. And look, you're among friends here. So this is heavy duty, and I will. It's Fun Friday, so it's a little bit of a different way to end it. But I will tell you that you can't solve a problem until you confront the problem. And I'm talking societally now.
Yeah.
I think society has just about had enough with whatever this is that has been allowed to fester and is now coming to a head. So I
Yeah.
think the world is waking up, and I think you're going to find a bunch more people demanding order and sanity. Okay, because we can't go on like this. Not just in your country. I mean, anybody who doesn't know, I'm going to make a little bit light of a situation here. This has nothing to do with domestic violence, but in terms of, something a bit lighter duty, somebody stole Carlene's catalytic converter last month out of her car. Right? They slide under the car, take the catalytic converter out for like $20 worth of platinum or whatever's in there.
Yeah.
Yeah, crazy stuff. So no, there's a tipping point, and I can tell you that people, I think, have had enough. At least people who are willing to look. And Carlene, thank you for being here. If there's anything that I can do for you, you know how to reach me. Okay. So you stay
Thank you
strong.
guys. Love you guys.
Okay to cry.
You stay strong. Stay strong. Guys, gals, we're going to go ahead and wrap up with that. And we're going to get together again. In fact, I'm sure that the hospitality suite is going to be packed today. So it's the end of our formal meeting for today. We're going to now go and have an informal meeting just after I go take care of something in another room in my house because I'm about to explode. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for this talk today. You guys, I love you. I will see you over there. And don't forget tonight, Be Heard. Okay. Be Heard at 6 Eastern. And then, of course, at 7 Eastern, relationship marketing with our special guest speaker. I'll see you guys real soon.
Bye, John.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.